what do I remember about shooting the last episode of Anyone But Me? I think, well, it was a big episode. I mean, it was twice as long as our normal episode. It ended up being 22 minutes. So there was that. We were shooting in locations that we haven't used before, except for Battery Park, which kind of was a new location because we actually got a permit for it and got to shoot it properly. And I remember shooting, I purposely wanted to shoot that scene last and kind of help the actors and all of that to, you shoot that scene last. We usually don't shoot in sequence. So I remember shooting that scene. I remember, fighting the elements as we always do. And I remember poor Rachel, like giving it every take, giving all that emotion. And I've always kind of felt always a little conflicted about those because I feel like, yeah, she's giving it. Then I feel like, oh man, I'm making her cry for like 2 hours straight. And it's terrible. But I remember she just did such a fantastic job. Both of, Rachel and Nicole were so fantastic in that last scene. And I think that's kind of what I remember most. I mean, I certainly remember everybody wrapping out, each actor wrapping out their last scenes, and everybody's like, oh, it's their last scene. And I'm in director brain, and I'm like, all right, got to move on. We got to get this other shot and all that stuff. And I don't think it ever really clicked to me that, oh, well, that's the last shot I'm going to shoot of Barb or, of Aunt Jody or, any of those things. I just wanted to make it the best that we could make it. And so I think I remember that the most. And certainly after we wrapped, everybody said some wonderful things. Nicole said some wonderful things. And Rachel was just completely spent, understandably. And we were all just like, all right, well, let's just go to the bar.
I am thinking of so many shoots that took place in inclement weather. And one of them in particular was a train station. Where the hell was that? That was the train station. We had to go and find like foot and toe and finger warmers for the actors, particularly I think Nicole and Rachel. And I don't know that this had anything to do with the cold, but it didn't help that Nicole ended up getting a splinter in her tush. And so we had to go in the car so that, I forget who actually pulled it out, but, on top of being freezing, these little kids, she had that ignominious, embarrassing situation.
I remember the day where Aunt Jody is late to take Viv to school, and then Sophie says she'll give her a ride, that I got to wear a coat in that scene, but I got to run in and out. So I don't remember being cold, but I know Rachel remembers being freezing that day.
It was so cold the entire time. It was so cold the entire time. But I remember, I forget what episode it was. There's a scene with Vivian and Sophie and Jonathan. And they're all, and Aunt Jody. Aunt Jody comes in and like they're getting a ride to school or something like that. And it was so cold, and I had this little like nothing jacket on. It was like a piece of fabric with some holes in it, and it was so cold, and I could see my breath, and it was raining, but like it wasn't raining enough to like show up on camera, so we were still going, and I was like, oh my God, this is physically awful right now.
Esther, where are you? I've tried to reach you every way possible. Please, please call me back. Damn it.
Everything okay?
Yeah, things are good.
I mean, I wasn't listening. It just seemed like something was wrong.
Sorry, I'm on a deadline. Forgot to look at the clock. I'll write you a note.
Hey, ride with us.
I'm down with that. I worked so hard to make that come out right.
I mean, I think that I got lucky and I didn't have to do like a ton of street scenes, but I remember being very cold in White Plains. I feel like the school was very cold. Is that right? Like standing out the courtyard of the school, that was cold. I think you guys had the like I remember some scenes of Rachel and Nicole being like, I love you. I love you too.
My memory from the last episode that I really take away is that we were doing a scene at a dinner table, and the chair that I was in had me sitting real low. So I went and I found something to put under myself, not realizing that it was going to be in the shot. And Tina was like, "What the hell is that?" So that's my memory of that episode.
It's hard for me to say which is my favorite episode of Anyone But Me of all time, partly because each episode for me has an attachment to when we were shooting it and what was happening at that time, and what the experience of shooting each of them was and what my favorite things were there. But I think if it's not the season finale of season 2, it might be the finale of season 3. I like watching how quiet the reconciliation scene is between Aster and Vivian, how tentative and how much history is so evidently there between them, and how they are trying to work to fill this void that is so clearly like in the space between them physically and, you know, figuratively in that moment. So I think probably that would be my other favorite, is the finale. So you're with Sophie now?
I'm not with Sophie. I've never been with Sophie.
You kissed her.
You kissed Jamie.
That didn't mean anything.
It did to me.
There's nothing we could do about what we did. It's over now.
We broke up because of that. Sometimes I think about you, and I would have no idea what you were doing, where you were, and I think that's okay. It's just a habit I have to break. The thing I get now is that just because we're not together doesn't mean it's over.
You're right. It's not. But things aren't the same anymore either. They're actually more complicated.
Some of my favorite episodes are with Archibald. I thought that his friendship with Viv was really sweet, and I love like the scene of them like riding on the bike together. I feel like Tina and Susan created very believable scenarios of how we make friends and how we let little bits of ourselves leak out over time until we know who's safe and who's not safe. And I feel like some of those scenes conveyed that really, really gracefully.